All right, man, peace. So the New York Jets, they're only 4-5, but they are a major surprise in the world of the NFL because they were expected to be 1-15. They were expected to be in the running to get the number one draft pick. But due to the excellence of their head coach, Todd Bowles, they have really superseded all expectations for them this season. They're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
All right, welcome back. Mark Schlereth is back, and we're joined now by the founder of the big league, Jason McIntyre. Let's move to last night's game, where the Jets dominated the Bills, winning 34-21 in a game that wasn't as close as the final score. The Jets are now 4-5.
Yeah, they're 4-5, and they could easily be 6-3. All right, the Jets have blown some games this year that they should have won.
Despite the fact they appeared to be tanking after giving away some of their best players earlier in the year. Todd Bowles addressed his team's surprising success after the game.
Todd, to have 4 wins at this point in the season where there were people who thought it was going to be tough for you to get to 4, what does that say about the resilience of your team?
Let me say this before Todd answers this question. I was a little hard on Todd Bowles last season. I thought he lost control of the team. But the way that he's rebounded has shown me that I was wrong in that assertion that it was his fault. He clearly had a bunch of knuckleheads in the locker room that he had to get rid of. Sometimes bringing in big names is not the answer. Sometimes you got to build from scratch, and you got to bring in some young kids and some draft picks and build them up. Oftentimes guys like Brandon Marshall, etc., they're used to the spotlight. They're used to getting all the attention. A guy like Brandon Marshall is used to acting crazy and then being able to play his violin of mental illness whenever he acts out. Sometimes guys like him, you got to move out the way so that you can build from scratch and so that people can see it actually how talented you really are and what you do, which is coaching. And coaching is really just the ability to cultivate young minds. It's just a sports version of being a teacher or an instructor.
Well, for us inside the building, we think we should have more, but we didn't play well enough to close games out.
Agreed, and y'all should have more. Y'all should have beat Miami, and you should have beat New England.
We don't worry about the outside of the building.
All right, Cowherd, should Jets fans like McIntyre be bothered that their team isn't tanking?
No, they should be happy. They have maybe along with Sean McVay, the best young coach in the game.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. You cannot replace a great young coach. All right. And you don't want to have your young coach get broken down by telling him that he should go 0-16 or 1-15 to bring in a draft pick, which is nothing but a gamble as it is. You have no idea how good these guys are going to be.
I watched them last night. You can tell a well-coached team. They have a point of view. They don't extend beyond what they're capable of doing. They kind of have a sense of what they are.
Hey, those are the same things that you could say about a well-coached person. A well-coached team is just like a person who understands themselves. They don't try to overstep their bounds. They know what they're good at and what they're not good at. They don't try to perpetrate a fraud. Right? That's what the Jets are right now. They're a well-coached team. They're clearly an extension of their coach. And beyond that, let me say another thing. An example of a well-coached team, when you could tell a team is well-coached, they don't have silly penalties. They don't have things like 12 men on the field and all this other dumb shit.
I mean, the Jets they have talent. I mean, Cleveland's got talent. But I watch them and I'm like, that quarterback who's been around this league has never played better. Those running backs they got old guys playing young guys playing old.
And when you have that, as Colin said so well, when you have older players who have a lot of pep in their step and young guys who are making good decisions on the field, those are also signs of great coaching and guys respecting their coach.
I mean, I watched them last night, and I'm just like, that is a well-coached. By the way, it takes 2 things to win a Super Bowl: the right quarterback and the coach. We don't know if they're going to get a college kid that works. We know they have a coach.
Absolutely.
What happened last night is what I thought the Bills were going to do to the Jets. I mean, the Bills were the hot team that everybody, and I came away with the same thought as you. It's like, holy cow, they found a coach. And if you go into a season thinking, hey, it's about finding a quarterback and making sure you're in position to draft Rosen, Darnold, whomever, I would settle for finding the coach and sacrificing that young quarterback.
Yes, a great coach is far more indispensable than a great QB. Unless you're getting somebody on the level of an Aaron Rodgers who can transcend any situation. A great coach is almost always more important and more valuable than a great quarterback. To this day, we really don't know who's more important to New England, Belichick or Brady. I guess we'll find out when one of them leaves.
Oh wait, Mark, before we get too excited about Todd Bowles, they did just blow 3 fourth quarter leads in a row. Patriots, Dolphins, and then against the Falcons. And they only won 5 games last year. I think what Bowles has done is done a good job of gutting the locker room of bad guys.
Agreed. And yes, I forgot about the Falcons. They should have beat them too.
Last year, Brandon Marshall feuding with Sheldon Richardson, me first, Darrelle Revis. You know, they had some Geno's.
Oh, hell yeah. Darrelle Revis is old ass. He had to go. That motherfucker couldn't catch a cold.
Smith, who got punched out, that it was.
Once a receiver beat Darrelle Revis, he was done. How you a cornerback, you coming into the game with a pot belly? Come on, man, go sit your ass down.
It was a bad locker room. But guys, I think as a Jets fan for a long time, you have to tank. This is 4 decades.
Look, I've been watching New York football for over 25 years. I've seen the Jets tank. I've seen them tank when they were not even trying to tank. I've seen them under Rich Kotite. I've seen them go 1-15. I've seen all that shit. Look, man, it's like Apollo Creed told Rocky in Rocky 3. There is no tomorrow. All right? You got these teams tanking. You have no idea what you're getting. It only makes sense to go after a quarterback prospect if you know you have a quarterback whisperer. Todd Bowles is a defensive coach. I mean, there's really no guarantee that he even knows what the hell to do with a young quarterback if he brings him in. I'd rather go get a quarterback on the free agency market and see what we can do with him.
They have not had a good quarterback, a franchise quarterback. The last time they got one, Mark, in the top 5, Mark Sanchez. What'd they do the first 2 years? AFC Championship games. This team has not.
Well, yeah, they went to the AFC Championship game despite Mark Sanchez, not because of him. The Jets had the best defense in the NFL that first year with Rex. They had the best defense in the NFL. If they had any quarterback play whatsoever, they would have won the title. Because they were great at every position. They had a great offensive line. Thomas Davis was great out the backfield, running for them. They had Darrelle Revis and Cromartie at corner. They were just getting tremendous play on defense. If they had any type of quarterback play whatsoever, they would have won the title that year.
Has not been to a Super Bowl.
And then the next year they go in and play the Steelers and should have beat them.
As you said, you need a quarterback. They're not getting one after they win 6 games. They're not finding one in the draft.
Where do you find good quarterbacks? I mean, Deshaun Watson at the end of the first round, right? Derek Carr in the second round, Dalton in the second round, Russell Wilson in the third round, Dak Prescott in the fourth round. This is about...
Hell, Tom Brady in the 6th round.
About putting...
Aaron Rodgers was at the bottom of the 1st round.
Putting a team together. The problem with the NFL right now is we've got a bunch of guys that are trying to become head coaches that are offensive coordinators. So we have vanity play callers. We have guys that are more worried about putting up numbers than putting up wins, because the owners are just stupid enough to realize that, hey, my guy can put up big numbers. We'll hire that guy because, look at all those offensive numbers.
And it's also because you have networks like ESPN calling a lot of these young Caucasian coordinators boy geniuses. And every once in a while they pan out like a McVay out there with the Rams. But for every McVay, there's like 10 guys who they claim are such geniuses and they don't do shit. Look at Adam Gase. He's been down there for a while now. Has he turned Tannehill into a top quarterback? No, he has not.
He's a groomer of the quarterback. No, Todd Bowles has gotten back to what wins games. He understands, one, it's not about you, it's about us. And if you're a bad dude, I'm going to get you out of my locker room because that's going to end up hurting us as a football team. And the other thing is, man, one thing that will never go in and out of vogue is controlling line of scrimmage. I mean, they thunder punched the Bills right in the teeth last night.
Absolutely. If you have a great O-line and a great D-line, guarantee you're going to win at least 7 games. If both those units are shored up, you're going to win at least 7 games. I don't care who your quarterback is. If you have a great O-line and a great D-line and you don't have a head coach that's an idiot, you're going to win at least 7 games.
Right. And you know what? The Bills got shell-shocked by it. That's who they are, and that's the way they're going to win. And who's to say that, whether it's Donald or whether it's Rosen, who's to say any of those guys are going to come in here and light it up? We have seen it's a 50-50 crapshoot in the first round anyhow, especially with quarterback.
Agreed.
Quarterbacks.
52, we have a graph. 52% of the starting quarterbacks in this league did not come from the first round. And the other thing, Mark You know Todd Bowles.
Wow, 4 of the starting quarterbacks in the NFL were free agents.
Bowles.
Yeah.
I
I
didn't.
played with Todd.
And you said he's one of the smartest players you've ever played with.
Meaning when I say free agents, meaning undrafted free agents.
There was no question he was going to be a coach at some point. Just he knew everything about the defense. I mean, he called our defenses in Washington. He called line stunts. He called everything. He knew exactly based on personnel and formations what you were going to run.
That means that Todd Bowles can see things from a macrocosmic perspective. He can see things from a bird's eye view. That means that the Jets have a good coach. Hopefully they don't blow it.
The guy is a brilliant football mind.
I
That's
think,
who he is.
I would add to the argument, Jason. I think that perhaps it's harder to find a coach that you can count on
Yes.
for 10 years than a quarterback.
Absolutely. I mean, look, the Jets brought in Vinny Testaverde in the late 90s when they had Bill Parcells as coach. And Vinny Testaverde, for like a year and change before he got hurt, he was playing as well as almost anybody in the NFL.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this real quick. How many quarterbacks are going to be available? Why do you got to go get one in the draft? Is Breeze going to be available? Is
Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins
I
going to
like
be available?
Kirk Cousins.
Is Alex Smith?
I don't like Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is going to cost too much money. If you can get Alex Smith, get Alex Smith. But Kirk Cousins is going to cost too much money for what he does. You already know what Kirk Cousins is going to do. He's going to throw for 340 yards, and then in the fourth quarter, when you're down by 4 points and you need him to get a drive, you need him to score a touchdown, he's going to throw an interception.
Alex Smith?
The Jets already had a guy like that back in the late 80s, early 90s named Kenny O'Brien. All right, for those of you who old enough to remember, Kenny O'Brien would have shootouts with Dan Marino. Dan Marino throw for 400 yards. Kenny O'Brien throw for 340. And at the end of the game, Kenny O'Brien would always throw a big interception, and the Dolphins would win.
Smith going to be available for the right price because they drafted Patrick Mahomes.
Jacoby Brissett.
It's been
Jacoby Brissett can play too. If he can get coached up, he can play. Jacoby Brissett can play. I've seen him play. He does a good job. His problem is that the coach for Indianapolis doesn't know up from down. But Jacoby Brissett can play. But if they can get Alex Smith and sign him to a 3-year deal, that would be a great pickup for them.
It's been proven in Denver that you can go get yourself a mercenary. You can go to 2 Super Bowls if you get the right mercenary.
Well, hey, when you say the right mercenary, you're talking about Peyton Manning. I mean, that's a top 3 all-time quarterback on anybody's list.
Mercenary. So why not go that direction?
All right, coming up.
But anyway, I just wanted to shine a little light on what Todd Bowles has been doing. He's got 4 wins through a little bit over half the season, and really should have 6 or 7 wins. If he can get the Jets to 7 wins, to me, he's done as good a job as any coach in the NFL, other than probably Sean McVay. But anyway, peace.